This weekend gaming, Randy Pitchford is out of touch. Naughty Dog is working on a second game, and Marathon gets caught stealing, and so much more. Because this is the Nerd Cave News, and I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined along with my good friend and co-host, Derek Daniel. How's it going, Derek?
Man, it's pretty good. Like, I'm tired. Like I told you before we went on air. I got home an hour ago. So it's been a long day, but a good day, good hard working day. But I'm ready to. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you. I'm excited. And he says, "What up, boys?
What up?
We need to get a little air horn. What up, boys? We're doing the thing. We're doing the dang thing. Some would say. Excited to chat. You have finished Bungo Stray Dogs. You finished 86, 87, whatever the number is.
86. You had it right.
Yeah. We got a lot of anime to discuss, but this is not the show for that, guys.
No.
You need to go check out Eat Sleep Anime. We are approaching our second episode of the year.
About a month out, just over.
Yeah, and it's still time, everybody, to watch Moonrise, available on Netflix. We're going to be discussing that at the end of the month, and I'm really, really excited for it because, man, it's such a good show. I can't wait to see what you think about it, Derek, and get into all of that goodness. But, dude, I've been playing since we're going to jump into what you've been playing, and Derek's already told us. Derek hadn't played anything. He's been a busy boy.
I had to go do some adulting things this week. So
yeah,
but I know I said it last week, but I'm going to make darn because I'm not going anywhere. I'm getting with my folks on Monday to go for Memorial Day. We're going to grill out, but I'm going nowhere on Saturday. So that is the plan, is to get back into South of Midnight or whatever the itch I need to scratch is. Maybe some AC Origins. We'll see.
Maybe some AC Origins. Everybody, let us know what you are playing currently, as well as we jump into what you're playing. What's up, Mikey? Hope you're doing well, my man.
So let me take a stab at which one of the games you've been playing.
Okay, take a stab.
Solo Leveling Arise.
Yep. Yeah, I've definitely been playing Arise.
There are three things that are true in life: death, taxes, and Zach playing solo leveling.
What can I say, dude? It's so fun, and it's like it's helping me like kind of fill the void until I read more solo leveling, because I know it's going to be a while until we actually get more solo leveling and everything. So and it's supposed to be coming out on Steam sometime this year.
Ooh.
So that
Steam Deck action is what I'm hearing.
Yes, because that would be dope. Like, I play a lot on my phone, but like having like just the Steam Deck, it'd be so much nicer to play just on the Steam Deck. So for me, I of course solo leveling Rise, been playing through that. They're doing the year anniversary stuff right now, which is a lot of fun, a lot of cool things in there. You can also join our guild if you're playing, for all the cool people playing that. But I have played more Oblivion on Tuesday's stream, and I didn't know this, Derek, but you literally can just fast travel out the gate to anywhere, like on the map. Like, it's like everything's already unlocked, and I'm like, this is really strange.
Yeah.
Compared to like Skyrim and anything after that, where it's like you have to unlock it, you got to go visit there, and then you're able to fast travel and everything.
Well, it's like a lot of like RPG games, like you have to earn that after a while. Like, I know the most archaic one, as much as we love the first game, the most archaic thing you had to do in what was it, Horizon Zero Dawn, where you had to go earn that fast travel. Like, you had fast travel packs, but you could earn a golden one, and it didn't cost you anything. It was unlimited fast traveling. And then
I think that was in the second one.
No, it wasn't the second one. It was because they fixed it in the second one, but it was definitely in the first one. But now I'm questioning whether it was Horizon the series at all. But I know
it was Horizon.
Okay, but it was definitely the first one, because I remember being like, why can't I fast travel? And then it's like, you can get a golden pack if you have to do, but you have to go hunt all this crap. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. It is weird because like I know that's like forcing you to explore the world and everything, but it was just like, oh, I can just literally fast travel to this like hidden location to like
Yeah.
finish this mission. Sure, that saves me like 20 minutes of trekking there and everything.
Correct.
And I'm just like, okay,
And avoiding thunder jaws and all the dangerous machines.
yeah. So I'm just like, all right, that is interesting with Oblivion. So I've been playing that. I'm probably going to switch off of Oblivion soon for streams and everything because there's other stuff that I want to play.
Yeah.
Helldivers has got an interesting thing going on right now with Super
I've
Earth.
seen that.
So I might jump back in on that just to experience it and see what
For
it is.
democracy.
For democracy, you know, maybe we rope Murdoch in and get him to fast travel or, you know, Sherpa me through what's going on with all of that. But this weekend, dude, I played a good probably 6 hours of Doom, the
Well, I was
Dark
going to
Ages.
ask you about that. So what is, now that you played more than 15 minutes of it, what are your thoughts?
Dude, I'm enjoying the game a lot. It is very fun. The story is very light. And when I say that, there's like stuff happening. There is a through line, but it doesn't really matter. And it's not
because it probably doesn't connect to any of the other games. It's probably like a one-off type thing.
No, it's actually before like Dark
2016?
Ages. Yeah, it takes place before 2016 and Eternal. So I don't know how much all of that has to bear, but it's like the story that's there is interesting enough, but it's more of the combat, dude. It's just so.
I was gonna say, I know Doom is known for its action, but I know like they tried to really emphasize the story in 2016 and Eternal, but this one is just like, just go crazy. You're gonna ride a dragon and wield a chainsaw shield. Just have fun.
And dude, like you get new weapons, new abilities, like, and there is like a progression tree thing where you can unlock new things with your weapons. Like you can have your shotgun, like literally catch demons on fire, or your
I like perks.
Yeah, like you could throw your shield and like if you pick this perk, you can literally have your bullets like ricochet off the shield and hit other demons.
Oh, that's dope.
It's just all this crazy stuff. It feels like a metal album, like fever dream in that. But it even playing on the like I'm not on the easiest difficulty, I'm one up. Even playing on that, it's like some of it is challenging. Like the bosses are challenging. So it's not, you know, just a cakewalk, but you feel empowered. And each weapon has like the standard version, and then it has like a more powerful version, but it has limited ammo. So like you have like a double barrel shotgun that literally can just rip through people, or you have it's essentially shooting out huge spikes or whatever.
Wow.
And it will literally like it's like a sniper and everything. But you have to kind of like arc it and everything. But the skull shooting gun.
Oh yeah.
My dude, it is so flipping cool. And I got like this power up, like the more I hit, like kill like lower level demons, like it charges it up and makes it like even more powerful.
Oh, it's like a stacking ability.
Yeah, it's a stacking ability, and dude, it's so cool. And I just got this new one. It literally has like this huge ball in it, and you charge it up, and it's like a ball and chain just shoots out and like
that's
knocks.
So crazy.
It's crazy. And I finally got the mace, dude, and the mace is just wrecking things left and right. It's so fun. Like if you have not played Doom the Dark Ages, and I'm a person that loves story, okay? That is literally why I play video games. But for this, I'm like, I'm here for just the sheer craziness of
You're here to bash demon skulls in.
Exactly. And and it's just so visceral, and you're like, I've literally have a power up that like anytime I shoot like a demon, like it builds up my armor and everything, like, and you can pick the play style that you want within it. And as you're playing, like, you can open up the map and see like secret places that you can go and get collectibles and everything. And it's like I get majority of them every time, but I sometimes miss them and all of that. But I want to talk about real quick the dragon and the mech suit. Okay. Which one do you want first, Derek?
The mech suit.
The mech suit.
Because I want to hear the dragon, because I'm excited about the dragon more.
Okay.
Do the mech suit.
The mech suit, it does feel like I'm playing like Pacific Rim. It's you start out where it's just melee, and the way you charge it up is you have to dodge the attacks of these like huge Titan demons or whatever. And when you get that, you're able to, like, the more punches you land, you can either stomp the ground or you can do a finisher. And dude, some of the finishers are absolutely brutal. Like, they are crazy brutal. Later on, you do get a chain gun, and it just changes everything. Like, the second half of the level, the first level you play is the mech and everything.
Yeah.
Because I could see it's like, okay, I'm getting used to this, but then and that's the thing, the pacing throughout the whole game, it's like, okay, I'm getting used to this, and then they'll introduce a new class of enemy, or they'll give you a new gun, or they'll add armor that you have to like heat up and then hit with the shield to break it off, and just different things to just keep the gameplay and the flow interesting, because they could literally have just rested on their laurels, got on their 5-gallon bucket, and just like, that's good enough. But it just keeps going, dude.
Yeah.
And that's so cool. Now, the dragon, you get to this part of the game and you go to like this dragon aviary, and there's like all these dragons and all of this, and you light this torch signaling the dragons that you're there.
Gondor calls for it.
Yeah. And these two dragons like come, and I'm like, that doesn't look like the dragon. And then you hear "Rrr," and these two dragons like just flee, and this big one just like bam, he like shows up, he's got armor all over him. And dude, this is how metal freaking Doom is. Instead of regular wings, he's got like wings that are electric, like, and they're like red, and like just all of this.
That's ridiculous.
It's like the flying, it feels really good. There's a little bit of like having to figure out some of it with like the combat, but you learn pretty fast on that. But the takedowns, because you fight some of the Titans with it, dude, I literally the dragon like grabbed the throat and ripped out the throat on one of them. And then another time he like grabbed like one of the horns and literally just like whipped around and like the head. I was just like, oh my God.
Holy cow. That dragon the dragon taking names just like you.
Exactly. And dude, and there was another one where he like literally just like breathes fire like through his like mouth, and like it's like shooting out his like, his lower half and everything. Dude, crazy stuff. But
yeah,
it's a lot of fun. The flying is very interesting because you've got some chase stuff. You've got some, and the way they break it up is like you're having to take down these capital ships essentially.
Right.
And so you'll fly the dragon, and then you'll jump off, and then you'll take out the engines inside. So you're fighting demons and all of this kind of stuff, and then you jump back on the dragon, and like it just keeps that level moving really well. And even the extra stuff where you're literally chasing these like demon ships around and destroying them and everything. It's just so good, dude. Like I'm gushing here, and I wasn't expecting to have this kind of reaction to Doom.
I don't remember if you say you played either of the previous two, like the newer Doom games, but I know it wasn't really like up your alley. Like you weren't really like impressed with them. But the fact that this one is like captured you is just very like it's sort of like the one that just hits. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, because I remember that was like. it's kind of reverse order, but it's sort of like the Far Cry series, right? 3 really captured me, and then 4 was good, and then 5 was okay, but it's like ever since then, like 3 still no one can hold a candle till 3.
Yep.
So, and I didn't ever play 6. Or like what was there was a spin-off of 5 that they did, was like post-apocalyptic, all that kind of crap. But played Primal 2. Primal was meh. But like out of all the Far Cry series, like 3 is the only one to ever capture my interest for like from beginning to end.
Yeah, and like I played very little of 2016 when it came out, and I was like, I don't know if I like this. Like, it didn't hit, but the shield, and like, just I don't know if the pacing of the other ones. I know Eternal has pretty fast pacing and everything with its combat, but this one, it's like it's pretty fast paced, but it doesn't feel frantic. There's still some weight. Like, the harder the enemies there are weight to them, and it's not just where you can just blow through. I don't know what all they're called. You know what I mean? There's little ones, there's big ones, there's some, it's like, the big fat one is like that one, very iconic and everything.
Meat targets is what I call them.
Yeah, but what I love about the shield is, like, you're throwing it like Captain America, but like the bigger targets, if you hit them with it, it will literally stun them, so you're able to like either get
combos in.
Combos in, or if it's like, oh man, I need to get some health, I need to like reposition myself or change weapons or whatever, like you're able to do different things like that, which I really, really enjoy.
So it seems like two things with the shield. Well, one statement, one question. The statement is, it feels like the shield, like they're doing different things, like how God of War Ragnarok did. Like, I know like God of War 2018 introduced the shield, and you could but it seems like they really upgraded to make it more of a part of your repertoire, more than just like, hey, just block stuff with your shield in Ragnarok. So it seemed like it seems like Doom is taking a cue from that and being like, hey, let's make shields, rather than just for blocking, let's give them a secondary use and make them an offensive thing. But my question is, have you gotten to the chainsaw one yet?
Yes, I have the chainsaw one, and dude, it is.
Does it feel as good as like a Lancer from Gears of War, or is it different?
It's different, but it does feel good because, dude, like, let's say I'm getting to a new area and there's a ton of like demon fodder. That's what we'll just call them that. I literally have it upgraded where my blades will go further out. And dude, it'll take like 20 demons out, just like just mow them down. And what's cool is, like, you can shield charge and bash people with the shield, so you can like protect yourself, of course, like a shield would do,
right?
But what's cool is, once I have an upgrade with it, you charge the shield by killing like the fodder demons, and then you have like this powerful hit that you can do on the higher level demons that will like hurt them and knock off some armor and everything.
That's dope. You know, the one thing that comes to mind, the way you're describing like all the weapons and all like the different uses and the different Borderlands weapons could never. That's my hot take. That Borderlands weapons, I haven't played it myself, but I trust you. I trust your descriptions and your knowledge to know that, because I have played Borderlands. Now, granted, I played a little bit of 3, a little bit of 2, didn't really get deep into either one of them, but I know I can confidently say this in my own opinion, that Borderlands weapons could never give that same feeling.
Well, and I think because, Borderlands, even Destiny and all of that, they're looter shooters, so it's like always chasing the next best gun,
right? And it's like, oh, it's the same gun, but it's a different rarity, or like maybe one mod here or there. Like, it's the same shotgun, but just flame damage.
Yeah, but this, you do get like 6 different guns essentially. You might get more with like the different versions of them, where you literally have like the shotgun, you can press X, and then you get like the double barrel that's more powerful, but the reload is slower. It just feels like there's just really love and care on how each weapon is going to interact, how much ammo you have, the situations, because some weapons deal better with crowds, like the skull gun deals better with crowds. You have some people with shields that are metal, so you need to heat those up, so your shield throw with the chainsaw on it is going to break those. But then you have shields that are made out of energy that your shield doesn't really do well against until you upgrade it. And it's just like different things like that you've got to like, it's like, oh, this is the weapon that I need to be using. And then once you change over to it, you just start mowing through them again. It just makes you appreciate every weapon and every version of the weapons as well.
Yeah.
So I'm digging it, dude. I can't wait for you to check it out and everybody else to check it out, because like Amy was watching me play it and she was like, there was so much going on. It was crazy. Like, it is just high octane all the way through. The music is great. One thing that I do love is like you get every level has collectibles. There's like a toy or just different things. But there was one where I got the dragon. It was like after I rode the dragon, and like you picked it up, and then he's like making it look like he was like flying in his hand playing with the toy. And I was like, those little things like that just make the game so cool. And you also get skins for your weapon. So yeah, so you get to kind of like make it your own and everything. So I'm digging it, Derek. I can't wait to play more this weekend. And I'll update everybody next week on where I'm at. But there's 22 chapters, and I think I'm like 9 chapters in, something like that. So
they're meaty chapters too. So
yeah, like you can play, like there's enough in each chapter where like you can find a place to stop. You're not just blowing through them.
Right.
So it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. But you know what's not dope, Derek?
Oh, a lot. I know what you're getting to.
A lot of things, because guys, it's time for our gaming discussion this week. First up, Randy Pitchford opens his big mouth once again.
So Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford sparked backlash after suggesting that real fans would pay $80 for Borderlands 4 in response to a fan's concern about the potential price, he said. Of course, it was a fan on Reddit who tweeted him and was like, hey, man, I know you somewhat do and don't have the final say over the price of Borderlands, but don't do, it's not going to be a favorite call if you say it's $80. And then he responds where he says, A, not my call. B, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. He also recalled paying $80 for a game in 1991 while earning minimum wage, implying that dedicated fans would manage to afford it. This comment led to significant criticism from fans and industry figures who felt it was dismissive of financial concerns. In response, Pitchford later stated, quote, nobody likes being taken for granted, and it was not my intent. And yes, he has tried to walk it back. I understand, like he's trying, he realizes how he came across somewhat. And he's like, all right, you got me, blah, 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 blah. And I get it. Like, yes, $80 in 1991 was a lot more, but at the same time, it was also a special edition. I think it was like a flight sim game or something like that, where a game with a control stick. So that was also your choice, Randy, to pay $80 for that night. And I get it. But in this financial crisis, in this financial economy right now, with tariffs on the rise and everything like that, it is very tone deaf. And, ever since the Borderlands movie and like talking about Borderlands 4, like Randy's kind of been on a like tamer leash but you could tell as we're leading up to Borderlands 4 release, he's starting to get back to this. Like he's been trying to like push that envelope with what he says. And then finally it just spilled over with this. And it's just like, bro, just so you need a PR person to tweet for you. You do not need to be on Twitter, Instagram, whatever social
Blue
media
Sky,
you're on.
whatever it is.
You don't need to be the one responding. You need to just have someone speak for you and just make games.
Yeah, so I just looked up, net worth is never accurate on the internet.
Oh yeah.
But estimated 200 million net worth, which is pretty decent, you know. I thought it would be higher because he is literally the head of Gearbox and, you know, has launched several Borderlands and other games and all of that. But
also it's been a 6-year gap between 3 and 4 too, as well.
Has it really?
Yeah, Borderlands 3 came out. It came out the same year as Gears 5. That was 2019, bro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so like here are my thoughts. Like, yes, games are going to cost more. That's literally like where we're at in all of this, is like games are going to cost more. But
games have been, and it's not just the tariffs are not making it easier, but they've been steadily rising in price. Like, yes, it's going from 7 to 80 really quickly because we still haven't adjusted to the $70 price technically. But it's been going up. It's been way before tariffs were even a thing. So that's not even an excuse at this point.
Yeah, and it's like, to me, the way I see this is someone that doesn't have to worry that $80 is a huge percentage of what they, you know, bring in every 2 weeks or a month. You know, $80 is literally nothing to him. And it's like, oh, well, I did this back in the 90s. And it's like, okay, the 90s actually was a pretty good financial time.
Correct.
When you think about it, like Reaganomics and then Bill Clinton's like economic boom and everything, it wasn't hand to mouth, you know. And it's like trying to use that as there's George Bush as well. I forgot him. I just skipped him. But it's like when you're just trying to say, oh, well, I did this when I blah 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 and all of this.
And talking about, it's like, if you're a real fan, it's like, cool, cool. Let me, me being a real fan and spending $80 and putting myself in debt and then not being able to eat for like 2-3 days that week.
Yeah, and it's so tone deaf when you have somebody that is literally making tons of money saying, oh, well, if you don't buy my game, you're not a real fan.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not a real fan. And it's like, no. And it's the same thing when I've gone to conventions, okay? Where it's like, okay, I know that these people that are, you know, the talent that is there and everything, a lot of them are going and they have a guarantee. It's like, hey, even if no one buys signed anything from you, you're guaranteed to make this much. But they want them to be able to make more than that so the con doesn't have to pay that.
Right.
But the people that impressed me the most was actually Timothy Zahn. He's an author, and he didn't charge a dime for his autograph. He was selling books, but he wasn't like, oh, I can't sign your book, you have to buy one here. Didn't ever say that. He was not cocky, super down to earth. He's the one that created Grand Admiral Thrawn and everything. Like, he's, you know, a big deal in the Star Wars universe. Super nice dude. And like, I brought copies that I've owned for a long time. He's like, you've got this, you know, because I've got some rare first editions. He's like, oh, that's awesome. And signing them, and not like even mad that he's not making any money from that interaction.
Right.
But that he knows when a real fan is there. Randy Pitchford is just he's trying to sell stuff. He is a shill. Okay. I'll say that to
what gave that away.
Yeah. And it's like, don't tell me that it's rain when you're peeing down my back.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Don't tell me it's rain when you're peeing down my back. And it's just like, this kind of stuff is like, okay, yeah, you can raise the price, whatever. It is their prerogative to try to make back their money and make it profitable.
Because they have to make a profit at the end of the day. It's a business. As much as we hate it for that, our entertainment is that way. It is, because they also have investors and people above them to answer to.
But to berate somebody and say, oh, well, if you're a real fan, you would make it happen. And it's like, if I was that person, and I don't know anybody that would actually say something like that I look up to, you know, Shuhei would never say something like that. No. Neil Druckmann would never say something like that. Cory Barlog would never say something like that. Miyamoto, Hideo Kojima. Okay, I can't find anybody other than Randy Pitchford that would say something so tone deaf and stupid, because that right
maybe
there.
Yves Guillemot.
Well, I don't consider him a person of integrity and honor. Yeah, but if that was the knee-jerk reaction, that's truly in his heart. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, well, I guess I'm not a real fan then.
And that's why I'm not going to buy Borderlands 4.
Yeah, it's like, well, thanks, Randy. You made my decision easier. I can actually save up money and buy Ghost of Yote instead.
Yeah. Spend $80 on that.
Yeah,
because we're real fans of Ghost of Yote.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just Ghost in general.
Yeah, I don't know, that kind of beratement and just assuming that fans are going to buy something just because you put it out is tone deaf. I know I keep saying tone deaf, but it's so indicative of what we deal with now from these big corporations, where they're just slapping crap out there. And you can look at Disney. They've went through that. Hopefully they're starting to right the ship a little bit, I guess. I don't really know, but it's like people are going to vote with their wallet eventually. You know what I mean? When it's like, oh, I can either eat or I can play this game. And some people will pick the game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
but that's their prerogative.
They're fine with living off of ramen beanie Wheaties or Vienna sausage or whatever.
Jinx.
It's like, hey, that's fine. That's their choice. But when it's either you're a fan and you pay us all this money, or you really aren't a fan, then are you?
Yeah. And then heaven forbid that you buy it because you love the series and it's not the game that you want, or that you go into debt because of this. And then it's like, what will they do? Is like, oh, hey, thanks. You gave me $80. You don't get a refund. We're not going to help you out for being a real fan. That's, thanks for your money. Yeah. Godspeed.
Well, and it's like, thankfully it's not a live service game because how those turn over and everything. But it's like, oh, well, I'm a real fan, so I'm going to buy Concord. You know what I mean? Yes, people to get refunds for that, or like whatever game it is. It's like, just because you put some money behind something doesn't mean that you're a real fan.
No.
Like, I'm a Taylor Swift fan and I couldn't afford tickets. Doesn't mean I'm not a real fan of hers.
Right. You just made a financially smart decision.
Yeah, it's like, I would rather have a roof over my head than,
You'd rather keep the lights on.
Yeah, it's like, got to keep the lights and the mics on. We could beat this dead horse for a long time. And I agree, Michael. They are great books. Thrawn is amazing.
But the moral of the story is Randy Pitchford's an idiot.
Yes, forever and always. Jim Sterling hated him, so for the longest time. So All right, let's talk about some Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog is working on a second unannounced game with Neil Druckmann as the producer.
So Naughty Dog studio head Neil Druckmann just told the Press X to Continue podcast that the team isn't making only its new sci-fi intergalactic The Heretic Prophet. They have another secret project going on at the same time, and he's helping from the producer's chair. Here's what Druckmann said in full about it. Quote, we have several directors on Intergalactic. I work with two game directors, Matthew Gallant and Kurt Margino. And I have a co-writer in Claire Kari. So there are times when I'm away and they are in charge, and I get to come back and be surprised and enjoy certain choices they made. And other ones I pull my hair out over, and we have to change course or argue about it. And about the mystery game, then there's another game that's being worked on at Naughty Dog where I'm in more of a producer role, and I get to mentor, watch this other team and give feedback and be the executive in the room. I enjoy all those roles, and the fact that I jump from one to the next makes my job very exciting and always feeling fresh. I'm never bored. What it means in plain English, Naughty Dog now has at least 2 games in development: Intergalactic, led by 2 directors plus Druckmann, and a second unannounced title where Druckmann is more of a mentor/producer. Fans are already guessing what the secret project might be. The most popular rumors point to The Last of Us Part 3 or a brand new adventure directed by longtime leads like Sean Escape. So obviously it's always, Naughty Dog, there you can debate, I think we're both in agreement that we feel like Santa Monica has pretty much taken the crown jewel away from Naughty Dog in recent years with 2018 and Ragnarok. But that's again, once Naughty Dog puts out a new game, because they haven't put one out since Last of Us Part 2 on the PlayStation 4. When Intergalactic comes out, if it just grabs a hold like Last of Us and Uncharted have done in recent memory, they could take that crown jewel back. It's not beholden to one studio, because Sony has a lot of great first party studios that make great, amazing storytelling games. But anytime you hear from Naughty Dog, it's always intriguing because of how the stories they tell, especially the stories Neil tells. And it's interesting that he's letting, yes, he is overseeing stuff on Intergalactic, but he's letting more of a different team work on that. And this is what we kind of talked about last week too, with how Sony's are just building up the studios. Like, instead of buying more, making more, I know they're piecemealing here and there when they need to, but instead of just buying up all these studios like Microsoft is doing, they're just building the ones they've already got in place, so they can get more games out like this. And it's easy to see, it's interesting to see how Neil takes this new approach, because he's been the head of Naughty Dog for so long now but he has other interests, just like Kojima. We're getting into it in the quick hits and whatnot, but Kojima has other interests. He has other game ideas. He even wants to branch out and do what Neil's doing and get out into movies and TV shows, and directing, in that medium. And to see Neil over the Last of Us TV show, which is doing well, and then over the gaming sphere, and I'm sure he wants to get into other avenues as well, because I think he said something about directing movies at some point down the road too. But obviously, if he's more of a producer role over this unannounced project, you can easily point to Last of Us Part 3, because you can argue that was his baby, because he holds that franchise so beloved, so beholden to him, that's why he's producing the TV show. He's big in that. He's got his hands all over that. You can argue it, but again, you could also make the case that he wants to oversee this another new IP, or maybe bring back another franchise. Maybe this is Uncharted coming back in a different form. Maybe this is something else. Who knows? We can speculate all we want to, but I know Intergalactic is on the near horizon, and I say near, but it's probably another couple years away.
Yeah.
But again, we'll see a hint of it. Maybe they'll do what Ragnarok did, when before they actually showed the game, they just showed a logo, or they just showed the Omega symbol and the title, and that was all we got for Ragnarok. When all we needed to know was it was in development. Maybe that's what they'll do at Summer Games Fest. Maybe that's what they'll do at maybe a PlayStation showcase later in the year, and I don't remember May being a prime target for a PlayStation showcase or a state of play, but earlier this week they said, "Oh, don't plan for one this month." I'm like, cool. I wasn't kind of planning for one, but sure, we'll
always in June. I don't know. When I read that earlier today, I was like, "Oh, are we not getting one at all this summer?"
Yeah,
I was like, that would be weird, because Yote is coming out, and that is, we need to see more of that.
Yeah.
And the time travel thing that they've gotten there,
or just more of the world exploration, because they talked about how the world will play into how you face the villains and whatnot. So, and you can play the villains in any order. So I want to see how that plays out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. But again, it could be anything. We might get a tease this year of what their other project is. We might not find out till next year, when Intergalactic's further along and they're ready to give it a date. You know what I mean? So, because I think them showing it, if they had showed Intergalactic at Summer Game Fest last year and we got more of a gameplay feel of it at Game Awards, then I could say maybe it's possible they announced the other game they're working on this year. But because Intergalactic only got announced and our first look of it was at Game Awards, I don't think that's their other unannounced game they're going to talk about this year, in my opinion. But it is fun to speculate.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think when you get to the point in your career, it's like you can't direct everything. You can't do everything, and it takes so much out of you. Just like look at Corey Barlog, where he directed God of War 2016 and then
18.
took more. Yeah, 18. There we go. I don't know why I said 16. But then took more of a producer, advisor role with Ragnarok. But he was also working on something else at the same time. Druckmann is working on the TV show. He's working on Intergalactic. He's working on this thing, and telling what other stuff they're incubating at the same time, because we have talked about them spinning up more stuff within. And he was probably involved with the live service game that got canceled last year.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
It's like he's got his hands in a lot of pots. My question to you, Derek, is what do you want the second game to be? Do you like? For me, I think the safe bet is, okay, we put out Intergalactic. It's a new IP. I don't think they do two new IPs together. I think they kind of hedge their bets. It's like, okay, we got a new IP, and then we got something that we know will sell well, or if it's another Last of Us, sell extremely well.
Correct. And again, I'm kind of in your same ballpark where they have their new IP in Intergalactic, so they've already got that, and that's on within the next year or two. I know there's been talks about it could be a 26 or 27 game. Either way. And part of me thinks like the hopeful in me is like bring back Uncharted. Like I think it's like enough time has passed. Uncharted was 2016. Bring it back in some form. Like we're not going to get into. I mean, it's been almost 10 years at this point. You can kind of get into the end, like what happened at the end of Uncharted 4, but because I know about it, but I'm not going to spoil it. But the way Uncharted 4 ended, you could pick up off of that in certain ways. Like it'll have to be like further down, like the time, but like further down the road, like a time skip. But from what I've heard of how it ended, you can pick up off of there. But that's just the fan in me, just to see what they could do. Like now that they've got they did a Last of Us, they've done Last of Us Part 2. Like just see how much what they could just implement with that. Now that it's been almost a decade since between Uncharted games.
Dude, that is so crazy to think.
And I know the Lost Legacy was a year after, but I mean, like just from like a core Uncharted game.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's like when you think about it in game wise, like, oh, it was a PS4 game, and we're currently on PS5. This is the last generation, but when you think about it, the year it came out, it's ridiculous. That's what happens when you get older, man. Time just goes. Whoop!
Yeah. Apparently.
But the safe bet, I think I agree with the fans, and only because of like the situation right now with the TV show is they do a Last of Us Part 3 because they want to strike while the iron's hot. They have kind of, because the producer Craig, I think it's one of the quick hits, Craig Mazin came out and said it's going to take us 4 seasons to tell the entire story of the 2 Last of Us games. So I know season 2 just ended. I know season 3 is on the horizon. They've already kind of given hints. I'm not going to, for those of you who haven't played Last of Us Part 2, I'm not going to spoil like how the story goes in the game, but I know like they already kind of gave hints of like, which is what, like, because I know like Tim has said it before and Kind of Funny has said it. I've already kind of figured they would do it this way because of how the story is told in the game format. So it is coming to light that way, but they're going to tell it in 4 seasons between the first 2 games. That'll give them plenty of time to get Last of Us Part 3, if it is like developed, written, pushed out, and then be like, all right, now we have another, depending on how they write the story for Part 3, maybe another season or 2 out of Last of Us, and then that's it. We're done with the TV show.
Unless they put out another Last of Us game, and then they've got more to...
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, they put out Part 3, or you're talking about
when you said Part 3, I thought you were still talking about the show.
No. Yeah. Like they're giving themselves buffering by saying, all right, between Part 1 and Part 2, we're going to tell the story across 4 seasons. And then like that'll give us plenty of time to where if we time it right without crunch, like do it right, don't rush it just to satisfy TV shows. It's like do it like how some anime does, and like give it a couple years in between seasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if we time it to where like it's only like we end season 4 and like this year, and then the next year or a year or two after we give part 3, then we can continue the TV show with part 3 story.
Yeah. I'm curious how long they've been working on it, because we knew like the TV show was doing really well like after the first episode.
Oh,
so
correct.
Like I'm wondering how fast they spun that up, or if it was already in the works. But we have also had the there's not, we don't have anything else to say. You know, Neil has said that as well, and I'm just like, sure about that?
Yeah.
You sure about that? Art said The Last of Us 2 was so long, at least 4 seasons will cover.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
I need to go back and finish it, dude. I got distracted by other games. I need to go back and finish part 2.
Yeah.
And everything. But yeah. There you go. I'm excited to see what Naughty Dog has in the future. And I'm excited right now because you are going to hit the subscribe button to the Nerd Cave News on podcast services of your choice. And of course, here on YouTube, make sure to support us, everybody. It helps us out so much. It keeps the lights and the mics on, and we love making content. So please hit the like button. Please subscribe.
You guys are the reason we have an anime show.
Exactly.
We're about to do the second episode of year 2. It's crazy.
Yeah. And we do a breakdown each month.
Yeah. Or try to.
Well, you know, does Zach put them out all the time? No. I need an editor. You know what I mean? Someone that will edit. Yeah. Well, Kevin is about as useful as another hole in your head. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Just like Bungie. Bungie steps in it. Marathon may be dead on arrival.
Bungie, the game studio behind Marathon, is in hot water again, this time over plagiarism. An artist named Fern Hook, who goes by Anti-Real, says Bungie used her artwork from 2017 without asking. She showed side-by-side images comparing her work to what showed up in Marathon, including things like her original icon designs, text elements, and even her personal logo. Bungie admitted they used the art without permission and blamed a former employee for slipping it into the game's files. The current team says they didn't know about it and are now double-checking everything to make sure it doesn't happen again. They've also reached out to the artist and say they want to make things right. But here's the thing. This isn't the first time. Bungie has been called out before for using fan-made art in Destiny 2 without giving credit. So fans are pretty upset, and it sparked a bigger conversation about how Bungie handles artwork and outside assets. Now, Bungie has paused Marathon's marketing while they clean things up. They're removing the stolen art and reworking their internal review process. The game is supposed to come out in September, but this situation could slow things down if they don't get a handle on it. And again, like they said, this isn't the first time Bungie has plagiarized, and this isn't the first egregious use of plagiarism, because I know IGN about a year or so ago got in hot water for how they plagiarized some of their articles with using people's assets and ideas.
It was reviews.
It was okay.
It was
I couldn't remember if it was previews or reviews. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it was like a freelance reviewer that was literally just pulling verbatim from other YouTubers.
Great.
You gotta love that.
But yeah, so, and with them, how can I start this? How can I start this thought process? It sucks. Like, yes, you want to give credit where credit is due, and I can see to an extent, because if the former person who was on it left him in there and didn't tell anybody, and then like, how is the person picking it up supposed to know that? To an extent. But also, it's like, you guys don't like. I need y'all to communicate a little bit more. Like, you know what I mean? I need y'all to pry for information, like fact check everything, that kind of like. It's not like you're a small, like 2-person studio, you know what I mean? That's got to wear different hats. Like, you're a big studio that, has the ability to have people fact check and stuff like that.
Well, my thing is, Derek,
that I know we don't make games. You know what I mean?
This is not the first time that this has happened.
Correct.
At Bungie. We see right here, Exhibit 8.
Yeah.
In 2015, They took someone's design of a hand cannon from
Mhm.
Destiny and took the exact same design and put it on their Nerf gun that they had.
Wow.
But yeah, you can see the art. This is like anti-reals art, and then you can see some of the stuff that they used
Yeah.
and everything. But what's crazy is instead of like putting this out on their full like Marathon or Bungie channel, like their social profile, they put it out on the Marathon dev team X profile
Woof.
to kind of hide this.
Yeah.
And then this was a player AMA that they did like a few days ago. And dude, it is so bad. It is so bad. They were supposed to be playing the game and all of this, so they scrapped that. And then it was just this awkward long butt thing, and then them trying to be like, oh yeah, it was a former person. Dude, that is such hogwash. Let me just
Yeah.
tell you, when it's like, oh yeah, that was a former employee, that's hogwash.
In
Unless
other words, that this just came to my head. In other words, what you said is you caught them. You realized it before people caught on. You fired him, and then that way you was like, "Oh, he was a former employee. We didn't know anything about this, but you knew."
I don't know, dude. I feel like it's more of, oh, you caught us. Yeah, it was a former employee that did that. And, you know, you're just putting it under the rug, and it's like you have a history of this. Like they've done this with like cut scenes and different art and everything. Like this is not the first time that Bungie has done this,
Yeah.
and they will do it again unless, you know, but dude, like this game is suffering so bad because like no like most people that played the alpha was kind of like the player count went down the second day during the alpha, which is not usual for an alpha.
No. Finish your thought, but I have two questions.
I'm just saying, it's just like I feel like Bungie has such poor leadership that they're just passing the buck over and over again. And the dude that's over Bungie has already said that if push came to shove, he would let more people go again. He would do the decision over again.
So, in other words, he's taking a kind of a page out of Activision's playbook. It's like, we screwed up, fire people, get them out
Yeah.
of here.
Yeah.
So two questions I have for you, Zach. One, do you think because of all this hullabaloo with this stolen artwork and they caught with their hand in the cookie jar again? It's supposed to be September, but there's already rumblings that it could be like even technically before this came out this week. There was rumblings that they were thinking about delaying it till early next year or like mid next year anyway.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is like the final nail in the coffin that does push it out of 2025?
Oh yeah. Like if I was them, you want to be as far away from this as possible. And the thing that does that within the cultural zeitgeist is time. So push it out, fix everything that you have, and then when you come back with something amazing, because the alpha was not good, and then this stolen art thing, like you need to be able to come in and be like, we have fixed this and the gameplay is amazing and you're going to enjoy it. This is the date. Bang. You know?
Yeah. So my second question, because we've kind of heard this story before with a former game that's kind of in that same realm. I'm not saying the alpha was great or like was popping off the first day, but do you think Marathon is the next Concord? Because alpha, when the alpha for Concord or the beta, whichever came out, people were on it big first day, dropped drastically, and then it pretty much DOA'd because again, like it didn't even hit 1 million players like day on Steam day one or like within the first week or whatever. So concurrent players. So do you think Marathon is on the same trajectory that Concord is? I'm not saying it'll do because Bungie's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And it has more funding. And I think Sony, because of how much granted, yes, Firewalk, Sony, I forget if they created or bought Firewalk, but regardless, they didn't spend as much as they did on Bungie, because they spent, I think, was it over $1 billion on Bungie?
Yeah.
So as much, I don't think they're going to allow Bungie to fail and drastically just, pivot out. But I do think that Marathon is scaringly on the same trajectory as Concord, where it won't get shut down after 2 weeks, but I feel like it may not make it 2 months.
Well, Art brought this up, and I do want to address it and then address what you said. Bungie's going to end up shutting down. They buried themselves, honestly. I don't think they're going to be shut down. PlayStation is going to take over them even more.
Oh, yeah. PlayStation will do a hostile. If Marathon bombs, PlayStation will do a hostile takeover, because
it'll be before that.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially after this, I think. If they have to delay it, PlayStation will definitely step in. It won't be a whole song and dance and like our headlines will take it over. It'll come out after Marathon is out, probably.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not going to make a whole big announcement about it, because then I think that will cause the fans to lose trust even more, because it's like, oh, your daddy had to step in and come finish the game for you because you can't handle it yourself. And even let's go further back. Their whole song and dance up until, they got bought by Sony has been Destiny. They touted, it's been since PlayStation 4. They touted it as like the next Halo, but with pretty much like an MMO. Like it's got a 10-year plan plus, and then they got Destiny 2, and then they had to drag the tail of Destiny 2 on even longer, because they were having issues like, all right, how are we going to shape Destiny 3? Because all the a lot of the expansions for Destiny 2 were hit or miss. They were trying to piecemeal what fans wanted and what they wanted as their vision for the game, to the point where they're just like, we're not doing Destiny 3, at least for a long time. I don't want to say never, because never is not a word in the realm of video games for the most part. We're not doing Destiny 3, so we're just going to continue adding expansions to Destiny 2, which I think you can argue was the first nail in the coffin for people to start losing trust in Bungie, because it's like, you can't even stick to your own plans for this big franchise that you created from the ground up.
Yeah. To your point that you were asking earlier, is this the next Concord? I don't think so, because they have more trust, because they have the name that has trust. Okay. Yeah. I don't think that majority of the old guard that was with Bungie when they made Halo and even the original Destiny 1 and some of Destiny 2, a lot of those people have been either let go or have left.
Right.
So we've got a lot of people that are in there that are making decisions, and they feel, invincible at this point, because it's Bungie, it's too big to fail. Well, we also saw that in the banking system here in America and how that went. Somebody had to bail them out. I do think because their gameplay is so much better than what Concord could ever have been, I think that will help them a lot. Because even I didn't really care fully for the gameplay of Destiny, but the gunplay was still pretty solid. Their stuff with Halo, of course, was amazing. So I feel like there's enough hardcore Halo fans that would try this out, but I don't think that it will be a hit. I don't think it will hit the numbers that they're expecting. And this being a $50 game or $40 game, I can't remember how much it is. It's not free to play. No. So it's like you and your friend have to throw cash down on this thing. Another, potential, refund issue here.
Yeah.
Because these people don't understand what they're doing. And that's the sad thing, is like, you've had this like brain drain because so many people are leaving, and the whole reason Sony bought Bungie was because they knew how to make a live service game. And then they get caught with, we're stealing people's stuff. We're artists stealing people's stuff. If you're an artist, you have to steal like an artist. Okay. Yeah. You do not put the exact same thing. Like literally, there was like a board or whatever, and like the artist like put like a joke on the board or whatever, like in her art or whatever, and it's literally in the game. Like this like throw off Easter egg joke is literally in Marathon because they stole her art exactly. They didn't even try.
So that's so distasteful.
Yeah. So it's, to me, this is just another step of just moral bankruptcy at Bungie. You know what I mean? It's all about money. It's not about making good games or making art. It's all about the money. And that starts and stems from the top, your leadership.
Correct. So we'll see. You know, only time will tell on this. I agree. I see where you're going with this. Like, yes, I think Sony and the other powers that be will not allow them to fail. Yeah. But I feel like it will have that same feel as a Concord, where even though it'll still be out, still be playable, I think it'll still have that same. It may not even have the same low player numbers that they had, concurrent players, but I feel like it is on that same trajectory as Concord, or at least close to it. It's traveling the same path as Concord, I feel like.
Yeah, it's kind of reminding me of what Jaguar has done in the last year, where they literally have like butchered their brand so bad that nobody wants to work with them, like advertising wise, and nobody trusts them.
Which is crazy, because you used to see Jaguar ads all the time with like famous actors, like especially the famous British actors.
Yeah. So it's like, okay. And I know Art has a comment over here that they're going to rebrand. Bungie still has a name. And I think if they can right the ship and write it quickly, it can salvage that name and stop damaging like the trust and all of that. It's just crazy, dude. It's just absolutely crazy what's going on. But that's not the only live service news coming from Sony this week. It's just the hits keep coming.
And they don't stop coming.
Jade Raymond exit the studio she founded?
Question? Sony's live service plans just hit another snag, this time at Haven Studios, the team behind the upcoming PvP heist shooter Fair Games, which also, side note, they've rebranded, or they changed their name. No longer is the S the $, it's just an S. Studio founder and PlayStation exec Jade Raymond walked away only weeks after outside testers tried the game and sent up warning flares. Development has now slipped from a 2024 target to sometime this year. Probably will come out next year now at this point, maybe 27, who knows. According to several Haven developers, PlayStation never explained her departure. They said they were, quote, concerned about how the game was received and its progress after that external test, hinting that feedback was rough. Sony's public line was all gratitude and optimism, quote, it is, quote, deeply grateful for Raymond's leadership and contributions and committed to supporting Haven Studios and is excited to continue the journey. Under new co-studio heads, Marie-Evan Denis and Pierre-Francois Sapinski, but the bigger story is a pattern of stumbles. Sony already canceled 2 other live service projects in January, yanked support for Concord just 2 weeks after launch, and watched Bungie's Marathon run into an art theft scandal before release. With Fair Games delayed and its founder gone, Sony's push to copy the Helldivers 2 miracle looks shakier than ever. The company says it's still, quote, all in on live service, but fans and investors will need proof sooner rather than later. And Zach, obviously, yes, Jade Raymond is, pretty much like, obviously, in my opinion, she's not up there with like an Amy Hennig, a Neil Druckmann or whatnot, but she's been a pretty solid game director and developer over the last several decades. My question is, let's just take like the last 2 stories together, right? Fair Games and Marathon. If these both come out and fail epically, not saying they have to shut down the studio, not saying they have to cancel games, just don't make the return on investment that they should. Do you think Sony finally says, hey, I know we've already made these investments, Jim Ryan started this, but we have to end this? Do you think these 2 games will finally be the nail in the coffin Sony needs to say we're done with live service? Even though I know in the article it just said that they're still all in on it, but still, all in doesn't mean all in if the money ain't flowing.
Well, I think it does put a cap on, that genie, essentially.
Right.
It's more of like a Jafar as the genie in Aladdin too. It's like you really don't want to mess with that dude. From like, you look at PlayStation strengths, and it has never been online games.
Correct.
It has never been online games. And you think about that, it's always been stories. It's always been these experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you look at GTA and you look at Fortnite and you look at Warzone and you see these companies just crushing it and making tons of money, but that's all they do.
It's a one-off. It's a genie in a bottle.
Yeah, and it's like they've full sent this and they've hitched their wagon to that. They're not making God of War. They're not making Last of Us. They're not making Ghost of Tsushima. They're not
even making a Doom Dark Ages.
Yeah, they are making these. And GTA 5 is great. I will say that. Like, the story was good and all of that. But the thing that's lasted for over 10 years
is the
online. And even the online did not launch with the game. It came out later. They had a plan for that. And you look at Red Dead Redemption 2, the online never really took off the same way.
No.
And the reason is because you only can have so many of those out there.
Correct.
There's only so, like, I try not to live in like a scarcity mindset, you know what I mean? But it's like people only have so much time when you really get down to it. There are people that want to play online games, and that's their prerogative. But then there's other people that want to play good stories. And you see that with anytime they bring God of War or Spider-Man, anything that gets ported over to the PC, it sells like hotcakes when it comes over there. And it's just like, that should be your indicator of what to put your money in. Stop trying to be the everything to everybody. It's not an effective way to run a business.
So, and you're 100% correct. And play to your strengths. Like, yes, it is not. I'm not saying you shouldn't you shouldn't test the waters and just put your toe out. Put your toe in it and see if you can capture lightning, or just see if you can bring in a fresh new audience and bring in some new cash flow. But also, there's testing the waters, and there's just saying full bore dive headfirst without any training in there either. And I get you bought Bungie for this. You built up some studios for this. I know they just created a new studio a week or so ago that and then looking for games, like we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, and it's going to be dedicated to live service. I get that you're trying to, instead of forcing your single player studios to shoehorn in live service, or like shoehorn in a live service game in their development of these huge AAA storytelling games, and you're trying to make up for that and have like the studios that are either going to be created for this or have already, done this. But again, even the studios, like, you found it, like, you created Haven Studios for this. You bought Bungie for this, and they're still failing. Now, whether that's the direction you give them, the people, the leadership at the top, because, when I read this and I read the reasons, like, the testing didn't go so well for Fair Games, kind of had the same reaction to when Cory Barlog relaunched God of War in 2018 and his first iteration of it. Granted, test demos for online is different than test demo or like a playthrough of a single player game, because they take longer to develop. But when Shuhei, I remember vividly in the documentary that he did, and Shuhei came in and he's like, essentially paraphrasing this, like, what is this crap? And then Cory was like dumbfounded and stupefied. He was just like, oh crap, I'm going to lose my job if I don't course correct this. But he did ended up making a Game of the Year winner in 2018 and reset the God of War franchise for the better. So again, it's a catch-22. It's like, you commend him for trying, but now it's like the roadmap you're taking to do this is not it. And I don't know what it is at this point, other than just to say, hey, let the studios play to their strengths and let them do what they want to do. But again, Bungie has been in the you can make the case that even since the Halo days, they've had a foothold in the multiplayer space for decades at this point. But they've been with they've been in the Destiny ecosphere for 10 plus years at this point. Jade Raymond has been in this like multiplayer mindset for a while now, and it's just like, what is it going right? Like, is it you have to question now, is it the people they put in place? Is it the people they're hiring to create their vision that they're wanting for this game? Is it Sony's leadership at the top that isn't like letting them do and kind of still like, yes, Jim Ryan is gone, but that doesn't mean some people still don't hold the same ideas that he did. You know what I mean? So you got to look in yourself and ask yourself, what is not working at this point? Because we pivoted from forcing our first party studios to shoehorn in live service games in their repertoire to now going to people that actually know how this ecosphere works or have been in the multiplayer ecosphere, and that's still not going particularly well.
Well, and it's like Sony's development was 60% live service games.
Correct.
Like a year or two ago. Just wanted to throw this little tidbit. The only live service game that Jade Raymond worked on, you want to take a guess?
No, go ahead.
2017 live service game.
Where was she in 2017? I forget.
Battlefront
Arts. 2.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just saying this, and we'll get in. There's something in the quick hits that I want to address later on, but it's funny. She leaves, and Battlefront 2 got better. Technically, I'm not saying it was gangbusters, but it did improve.
Yeah. Now she wasn't like the lead on it, but she was
there.
Yeah. Now I will say, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Bloodlines, and Unity and Far Cry 4. I'm not going to say like she worked on Watch Dogs and Tom Clancy Splinter Cell Blacklist. Both of those games are not great in my opinion.
No.
But some really good ones in The Sims Online as well. And then I wanted to just walk down memory lane, Derek, real quick with everybody.
Okay.
This is an
regale me of your stories.
This is an article from The Gamer. Just showing everybody live service games that shut down quickly, and they did miss one on this. Rumbleverse is not on the list,
right?
But let's just Concord.
Yeah,
the
best example.
Radical Heights.
I remember that game.
Yeah, Radical Heights.
Because wasn't that what's his name? David Jaffe. Didn't he work on that?
Yep. Yeah. I did play it. It was not great. The day before.
Oh yeah. Well, that was for other reasons, but still
shut down. Crucible.
I remember the name. I don't remember anything about the game, but still.
Doesn't this kind of remind you of
Concord?
Concord in a way.
Yeah.
Like you got the yellow robot, you got the big dude back here, lady with weird arms, and then you got like this creature thing. Anyway, Babylon's Fall. I don't remember this one. Do you remember this?
I vaguely remember this. I think it was a Sony exclusive or something like that. But I think it tried to be like a Dark Souls-esque multiplayer live service game. Don't quote me on this. It's been a while. I do remember the name. I just forgot it shut down quick because it was like, pardon my phrasing, it's like a fart in the wind. It came out and I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah. 1 out of 5. Oof.
Oh.
Platinum Games, Square Enix. Lawbreakers.
Oh God. What's his name? Who did the original trilogy for Gears?
Cliffy B.
Yeah. Oh,
Belitsky.
You notice because he was all braggadocious when Lawbreakers was coming out. He was kind of like how Pitchford is now, just kind of like saying whatever comes to his mind. And then ever since Lawbreakers went away, he's been MIA.
Yeah, pretty quiet. Yeah.
Crossfire, I do remember.
I don't really remember that, but yeah.
It used to be a big. It was like a big like shooter in Korea, and Xbox touted it at a lot of their showcases.
Oh, okay, yeah, that is right. The Culling,
Don't remember
I
that at
don't
all.
remember that either. Paragon.
Yep. Poor Andrea Renee. She used to have, her heart was like attached to that game.
Yep. Anthem, of course.
Yep. That was like arguably the first textbook example.
Knockout City, unfortunately.
That should have lasted longer than it did, because I know it held a special place in both of our hearts.
Now, it did last a pretty good while, but yeah, I love Knockout City. We played a ton of that. It was a good game.
I'm surprised it lasted 2 years. I didn't think it lasted 2 years.
Marvel Avengers. God, that game was awful.
I didn't mind the story, but
the story was fine, but the rest of it was dog
trash.
Water. And then Evolve.
Man, that's the godfather of the failed live service games.
Yeah,
I remember that actually being kind of cool, and like I did play it with my buddy Matt. And it actually had a good like gameplay mechanic loop. There wasn't really a story, but I mean, like it was the start of like play as the villain or play as the monster, because that spawned Friday the 13th and all that other stuff.
Alien, the Predator games.
Yeah, so I mean that spawned that. So the first was all like, usually the first isn't always the best, but in this case you could make a case that this was. But I'm just Turtle Rock. I'm sorry, like, because when they said Turtle Rock and it was the people who did Left 4 Dead, you're thinking, oh, this game's gonna hit.
Yeah. Dude, I remember going into GameStop and buying this game.
Yeah.
Like, it was enjoyable. It was a fun game. I remember being excited for it. I thought, and like having different like monsters, kaijus, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Was pretty interesting, but it's like most live services just don't last. No. And this article right here is literally filled with multiple, like, think about
this can be used as a case study.
Yeah, the millions upon millions of dollars that are sitting in these dead games.
Yep.
It's just kind of crazy.
Because either people's dumb decisions or, not having a good vision.
Yeah. You know what the good book says, Derek?
What does it say?
It says a man without vision perishes.
Facts.
So we're going to cast some vision right now because it's time for the Patreon Quick Hits. Patreon Quick Hits are brought to you by our wonderful patrons. So you can go right now, and support the Nerd Cave by getting your very own Nerd Cave membership to help us to continue to make awesome shows just like this one. Become part of the ship, part of the crew at patreon.com/Nerd Cave. Help this 1.5 person business keep the lights and the mics on. Derek, it's time for the Patreon Quick Hits.
So starting off, Take-Two boss on GTA 6 delays, quote, "The most important thing to do is support your teams. Amen." Following that, Take-Two confirms GTA 6 development began in earnest in 2020 following Red Dead 2's massive success. Take-Two feels reasonably confident it won't be affected by tariff changes. We'll see. Red Dead Redemption 2 continues success with 74 million copies sold to date. Following that, Red Dead Redemption 2 reportedly set for Switch 2 release by end of this year, and there's a rumored PS5 and Series X and S upgrade patch as well. David Leitch, however you pronounce it, is in negotiations to direct the Gears of War movie. Sony shifts focus to monthly active users over console sell-in units. Arrowhead confirms its next game is, quote, 100% funded by ourselves, but is open to working with Sony again. Norman Reedus says he would, of course, be open to playing himself in upcoming Death Stranding movie if it was an option. Nintendo says the Switch 2 will only support variable refresh rate in handheld mode. Ghost of Yotei director vows to deliver a respectful representation of Japan on par with Ghost of Tsushima. Let's go. Retro fighting game Killer Instinct Gold, the latest addition to the Switch Online library. Hideo Kojima says he's left his staff a USB stick of ideas after he dies, kind of like a will. Kojima also reveals he's ready to take on directing a film, but not until Fizzit is finished, but that'll take another 5 to 6 years. Star Wars Outlaws: A Pirate's Fortune is a love letter to Hondo Anaka. Doug Bowser insists Nintendo will have enough Switch 2 units to meet demand in the US. Debatable. Nintendo says Switch 2 game key cards help third-party publishers bring deeper, larger, and more immersive content on the platform. Switch 2 isn't even out yet, but report claims Samsung is keen to provide OLED screen in future refresh. Nintendo announces Gamescom return after skipping last year's event, raising hopes of Switch 2 game reveals. Persona 5 The Phantom X brings the Phantom Thieves to PC and mobile devices next month. Shuhei Yoshida says Soul Sacrifice 2 and Freedom Wars 2 were in the works before Sony switched gears to PS4. Injustice 3 rumors surface ahead of Multiverse's shutdown on May 30th. Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet adds Tony Dalton after impressing Neil Druckmann with The Last of Us TV role. Craig Mazin says The Last of Us will need 4 seasons to tell the whole story. Intergalactic actor reveals Naughty Dog is keeping things very close to its chest. Rumor, Call of Duty 2025 to bring back wall running mechanic. Voice actor union files unfair labor practice charge over Fortnite's AI Darth Vader. Fortnite's Darth Jar Jar character will cost fans 1 million XP before they can even buy him. Stellar Blade 2 seemingly confirmed in recent Shift Up presentation document. Mike Pondsmith reveals Cyberpunk 2077 sequel will see players visiting another city. I mean, that's kind of like a dumb moment, but sure. Housemarque reveals it has no plans for live service or free-to-play title as long as people buy premium games. Let's go. So finally someone gets it. Doom the Dark Ages reaches 3 million players and is id Software's biggest launch. Rebellion says Adamfall was immediately profitable despite influx of Game Pass players. Ubisoft Milan is hiring for a AAA Rayman game. Meanwhile, those I'm glad they're bringing something back from the dead, but also at the same time, Splinter Cell is over here like, am I a joke to you? So, Mario Kart World began development on Switch 1 and suffered performance struggles until Switch 2 internal delay offered ray of hope. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 Enhanced Edition has been announced for the PlayStation 5 with added features and PS5 Pro support and will be releasing this summer. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered was the best-selling game in April, and it came out at the last week in April, which is crazy to think about. And it's already outsold Oblivion's original release over the first
like
15
months.
Yeah, ridiculous. Avowed director quits Obsidian after more than a decade for a job at Netflix-owned Oxenfree studio. That's concerning. Fortnite is finally back on the U.S. Apple App Store. Netflix will produce animated series set in the world of Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. Helldivers 2 creative director says the game has 2.5 million players each week. Let's go. That's how you keep players in a game. PlayStation Stars is coming to an end in November of next year, and new members no longer being accepted. This is an interesting one for you, Zach. Liza P is set to receive difficulty options to allow for a wider audience to play the game. Embracer Group rebrands Middle-earth and Friends in major gaming division shakeup. Destiny 2 subscription model reportedly pitched by Bungie, but was vehemently shot down by the management. Jason Momoa in talks for Blanca and Roman Reigns to play Akuma in Street Fighter movie. Star Wars Andor actor joins calls for Battlefront 3 as Battlefront 2 popularity spikes. Dystopian Google AI video generator generating fake Fortnite clips, and it's tough to tell the difference. Lastly, Sony signs a deal for Mukti, a first-person story exploration game set in an Indian museum, which is coming to PS5 and PC.
Derek, I want to hit the Liza P thing real quick, and then GTA tariff stuff. Dude, I'm excited because that means I can go back and finish the game. Because, dude, I ain't got time to just get beat over the head.
Get good.
I enjoyed the story. That was literally why I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the atmosphere, like the world, but the difficulty was not there. And there's a DLC that is coming out. Got to see a little bit of Andy talk about that this week on Kind of Funny and everything. So I'm looking forward to that. And I know people are like, oh my God, you're ruining this game. And I'm just like,
And that's like the catch-22 of it all, because yes, when you have a Souls-esque like game, you want to keep the essence of it, because Dark Souls doesn't do it, Sekiro didn't do it, like Elden Ring didn't do it. They don't hold your hand. They're just saying get good, learn the patterns.
But that's from software.
Exactly. That's why they have multiple Game of the Year nominations and multiple Game of the Year winners, is because they know how the formula works for them. And we've seen imitators like Lords of the not the recent one, but the first Lords of the Fallen iteration. It tried to be pretty much beat for beat Dark Souls, and it failed. And I think they even added difficulty options later on.
The Surge, something
yeah,
like
the
that.
Surge. Yeah, like the Surge is probably like a better explanation, because it actually, you know, was a truer Dark Souls game. But like Lies of P, I think took it. They're Dark Souls-esque, but I think they took it in a way different direction, where it's like, and I'm not saying like Elden Ring and Dark Souls and Sekiro didn't have good stories, but they knew how to meld it. But if you're going to make the focus of Lies of P the story, you need to have the nice balance with the combat. And the combat, I think, I think it turned a lot of players off, because man's like, well, this is way too hard, and I'm enjoying the story and I want to continue it. Where again, Elden Ring, like, yes, like in the Dark Souls trilogy, yes, you want to get the lore, you want to see what happens and progress the story, but what are most of the clips for? Like, most of the clips are not for story beats, it's for the boss encounters, the when you beat the boss, like how you, like, it takes you 100 tries to beat Millennia in Elden Ring, so that's what they come for. So
yeah, it's like, if you want to play it difficult, play it difficult. It's the peeing contest. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like, playing Call of Duty. Oh, did you play it on veteran? Did you play it on veteran? Because
can I enjoy my game, please?
If you didn't play it on veteran, then you're not a real man.
I was gonna say, let's invoke Randy Pitchford. You're not a real fan if you don't play it on the hardest difficulty.
Yeah. Oh, you like Halo? Well, did you play it on legendary with all the skulls on? You know what I mean? Like,
get off my lawn.
I bought into that when I was younger, but now it's just like, I don't have time to deal. Like, I want to play games.
You can't be a sweaty boy.
Yeah, I just don't have time for that anymore. You know, and if you have time for that, good for you, man. Like, you do you, boo.
Right.
I'm gonna do me.
Exactly.
And get off my lawn. But then I wanted to talk real quick about Take-Two feels reasonably confident it won't be affected by tariff charges or tariff changes.
Mm-hmm.
I think a large part of this is digital sales. Most of GTA is going to be digital this time around.
Correct.
So I think a lot of that is not going to really affect the digital storefront.
Will it be not moving a lot of discs? You don't have to worry about imports.
Exactly. But Rockstar, I almost said Rocksteady. Rockstar is based in the UK, and our administration in the US has signed a deal with the UK to bring down tariffs to like 30%. So that was actually lower than it was originally.
Mm-hmm.
Like before all the crazy stuff happening. So it's like, you look at that and it's like, okay, maybe other places, yeah, but like now that we have this trade deal in place with the UK, I think, you know, it'll be fine. But again, I think a large part of this is most people are going to be buying this game digitally and not, you know, and also it's like, where are you getting these discs printed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
a lot of them say made in Mexico.
Yeah. It's like, and we have
Taiwan.
Yeah. Well, it's like we have a deal with Mexico. We have a deal with Mexico. So it's like, you know, if you get them printed in the US, it's going to be cheaper or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, but a lot of people, it's like, I don't know many people. I know Dan likes physical media, and I know, you know, the Switch is pretty much getting rid of that on. It's like your cartridge is literally just a key to unlock it and everything. But it's like most people are just doing digital now.
Right.
You know,
especially with Game Pass.
Yeah. But then that opens up the whole, you don't own anything anymore.
Yeah. No one ever really truly wins.
Well, and it's like, okay, let's say you get the case. You know what it's going to have in there, Derek? It's going to have a download code.
Correct.
It's not going to have a real disc.
Yeah. I mean, look at a lot of collector's edition nowadays. They give you the physical case for like swag purposes, but then they just give you a download code.
Yeah. So it's just like that's just how this works now.
Yeah.
So it's just like just know that, like, I feel like a lot of people are going to use tariffs as a way to increase prices and everything. So hopefully
Facts.
that is their way of saying, hey, don't worry about it. You will be paying a lot of money. You'll at least be paying $80, but don't worry about tariffs. We'll bleed you dry with them shark bucks.
Yeah. Right, exactly. It's like we'll make up the cost. It'll be okay. One thing I wanted to hit, and it's only because I've been seeing it on TikTok a lot recently, like the sudden resurgence of Battlefront 2. I'm just scrolling on TikTok, like haven't really seen anything Star Wars, and all of a sudden I'll see like people playing Battlefront 2, and like in the taglines, like we need Battlefront 3, like just random streamers just saying that. Like, I'm seeing like multiple times, like through like anytime I open up the app, and I'm just like, okay, is this sort of like not the best comparison, but is this sort of like Among Us, where just different place, different time, like different, like enough of a gap because Battlefront 2 came out in 2017 and it's 8 years ago. It's 8 years from now, like later, and it's like, dude, has just time healed all the wounds, and people are like looking for something to play because all these live service games are failing nowadays, and it's just like, hey, let's give this a shot. Oh, it's actually good because they've done all the patching, they fixed all the stuff that was wrong with it by now. And it's like people are like, hey, we really enjoy this. We need another one like this.
Well, I know when they did the anniversary edition with it, like the game was great, dude. I played a lot of it on stream for a while.
I remember that.
And, I was like, I don't think I've seen anybody, but yeah, I literally saw somebody today. It was they were doing like hero battles, and it was like Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker. Dude got his butt handed to him by Darth Vader.
Right. And it's like, it's funny because, like the most obviously Outlaws people don't play, or like you see streaming on, but like the last one was Jedi Survivor. And I was just scrolling through TikTok, and I just saw like a lightsaber and someone jumping in. The map almost kind of looked like, like a type of map from Survivor. But it was Luke Skywalker. I'm like, did they add skins on the PC version of Survivor? And then in the tagline, it was Battlefront 2. I'm like, people are playing this again. That's like, I didn't say that like to scoff, but I'm just like, I'm surprised that people are trying to bring this game back to life.
Yeah, I would literally love a Battlefront 3, but I would like to see it go a little bit closer to what we used to have.
I was gonna say, would you all right? Because like whether we can debate all day long if Titanfall 3 is ever going to exist, but do you think if Respawn is given a chance, Battlefront 3 would be a thing? That if because there's granted, yes, going from story to multiplayer, but they already have their foot in the multiplayer with the first two Titanfall games. So it's like, do you think they get a shot at another multiplayer? And I know they do Apex and whatnot, so they're still in that sphere. But it's like, does EA give them a shot? And it's like, look, DICE messed it up. We fixed it eventually, but it's kind of ruined it. So do you think they give Respawn a shot at making Battlefront?
I think it's more up to Disney. And I think because Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor has done so well at Respawn, that they could make a good case to get that IP to do something. And I'm not saying make a Apex clone of this. Like, I want a Battlefield game, and I think we could really have something cool with them doing it. And like the map for Apex is huge. You could do stuff like that. But like having it where you literally, like, the idea of Battlefront 3 originally was where you could go from space to the ground and everything. Like you could go between each one and go to the space battle. Like if we could finally see that realization and have 300 people playing, like, oh yeah, I'm going to be in space. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to be on the ground taking out these things or whatever, it's like having squad leaders, like it's going to feel a little bit more like Battlefield in that way. But I think it would be really, really cool to see something like that, because I know when like Halo did they had like bigger maps, and they would have 30 something people on each team,
Mhm.
32 people on each team, I want to say, and there was like 64 people on a
Yep.
map.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but it was really
was.
fun, you know? And it's like, what if we got that with, you know, we had 300 people on there, and it's like you see in TIE fighters and X-Wings flying by, and then,
Yeah.
you know, you got Chewbacca over here fighting Darth Vader or something like that. You know,
General Grievous.
Yeah, it's like, I think that is the play, but I think Respawn is the only one that really could do it.
Yeah. Agreed.
You know? So hopefully.
Maybe one day they'll get their shot.
Maybe they will. Maybe they will. Just like you have the shot right now to go to patreon.com and support us over there. Get that Nerd Cave membership and make sure to check us out. All the other good stuff that we've got going on here. Go check out the streams on Tuesdays and all of our anime stuff. Guys, this has been Zach.
And Derek.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye-bye.